All right, I'm telling you now, take a photo of your boobs because they are never, ever gonna look as good as they do now. A lot of things happen in pregnancy. Your boobs, they go saggy and veiny, and your nipples, they're unrecognizable. You get constipated. You have to pee like all the time. Sleeping is really, really hard. There's mood swings, so you feel like a crazy person. You have no motivation to do things like exercise. You crave things like carbohydrates. You certainly do not crave things like vegetables. And seriously, it's just not that easy on your body. At the same time, there's more pressure than ever to be healthy. So how in the world are we meant to do all of this? We're gonna talk about it today because my goodness, it's a lot of work. I'm Lindy Cohen. I am a dietitian, I'm a nutritionist, and I'm also 34 weeks pregnant with my first baby. So this has been quite a learning curve for me. I'm really interested in our relationship with food, in the way we see our body, and I think we don't talk about it enough. This idea that gaining weight in pregnancy can be really tough, watching your body change can be really tough, and also the random comments that you get from people on the street about how huge or tiny you are can be really triggering. How you think you're meant to look in pregnancy, which is this glowy, beautiful version of yourself, versus how you are probably going to look and feel. In pregnancy, you're going to gain weight. In fact, gaining weight is a really good thing, and that's kind of hard to comprehend when our entire lives we are basically told that gaining weight is negative. So it's a really kind of hard shift to come to accept. And then I find there's so much pressure on gaining just the right amount of weight, like not too much but not too little. The recommendation is to gain around 11 to 15 kilograms, which is about 25 pounds to 35 pounds. You know, this is a very nice goal to have, but realistically, what weight gain is going to look like for you is going to depend on your body and your starting point. So what we typically find is that people who weigh a little bit less, they tend to gain a little bit more than that recommendation. And if you probably have a little bit more juice on you to start with, your body probably has a little bit more of that reserve, so you're not going to gain just as much weight. The important thing to know about pregnancy weight gain is that it's not linear, okay? So you're not gonna hop on the scale and, read the recommendation of how much you're meant to gain each week and see that number going up steadily. Typically what happens is you could gain quite a bit of weight at some point, and then you might notice that your weight stables off for a little bit. And so, I'm really out of breath because that's another pregnancy symptom, being out of breath from just sitting down and talking. So what you might notice is that you gain quite a bit of weight in second trimester, and then you might not gain that much weight in third trimester. So some people notice that in first trimester they gain quite a bit of weight in third trimester, but in second trimester they don't see too much weight gain. So basically what I'm saying is there is no normal here. And yes, we can have this idea of how much we think we're meant to gain, but realistically, your body, it's growing a human, it's pretty crazy stuff. There is so much extra weight that it needs, from things like amniotic fluid to your placenta, an entire organ that your body just grew, by the way, which is crazy. And your boobs are really big. I mean, I think each of my boobs probably weigh, a kilogram each. That's a lot of weight to consider. Let's, I think, be chill about the weight gain. Instead of focusing on the weight, what I want you to do, what I've been doing, is focusing on being healthy. Because when we focus on being healthy, our body is going to find our healthy weight for us, even in pregnancy, especially in pregnancy. So let's not get obsessed with scales. Let's not get obsessed with foods that we can't eat. Instead, this is a time to just not diet, not take on any extremes, not try and lose weight, but rather just focus on all the foods that we want to add into our diet. One of the challenging things about pregnancy is the fact that you just want to eat carbohydrates and pasta and bread all the time, and things like vegetables are the least appealing thing. At least that's how it was for me. You might get some weird food cravings. I craved citrus fruit and anything acidic. Loved pickles. In fact, there was this one time I thought it'd be a great idea to eat a whole jar of pickles and then drink the pickle juice. And I was on the toilet for a while afterwards. That was not fun. I thought it was the baby kicking at first, but no, I just needed to go to the toilet So I'm like on the toilet and like yelling to my husband, being like, hey, can you please Google if this is okay? I turned out to be just fine. Moral of the story is food aversions, food cravings are all pretty normal. When it comes to being healthy and eating healthily in pregnancy, we've got to focus on what I like to call nutrition wins. Now, this means that we're not aiming for perfect eating, because perfect eating is overrated, and to be honest, it's just way too hard. What we want to focus on is little things that we can add into our diet that are going to make a difference. If you want bread, have bread. Can we make it whole grain? That's a nutrition win. All right, now we're having bread. Can we have some avocado on that bread? So that's a serve of fruit, serve of healthy fats. A piece of whole grain toast with avocado, I mean, that's delicious. Well done, that's a nutrition win. Now, if you find that eating vegetables is really tough, like sit down and write a list of the veggies that you might be willing to eat in the way that you might be willing to eat them. So for example, if eating hot food makes you feel really nauseous and doesn't excite you at all, maybe you're willing to eat something like a handful of cherry tomatoes, or the idea of cutting up some cucumber with a little bit of salt and pepper seems like, okay, I think I could do that. What we need to do is just simplify it, so we're finding little ways that we can add in veggies. One of the things that happens in third trimester is that your body does need quite a bit of iron, it needs quite a bit of calcium. So one of the things I'm doing at the moment is making sure that I'm drinking a glass of milk. So if you are willing to do that, that's a really easy way to get more calcium. And also getting some yogurt. It's good for your probiotics, which is good for your gut health, but also it's an easy way to get in a little bit more calcium. When you normally look for yogurt, most people are looking for things like sugar and fat and calories. What you need to start looking for is calcium. How much calcium is this little pot of yogurt going to give me? Because if you don't get enough calcium, what ends up happening is the sweet little baby inside you starts to leach some of the calcium from your bones, which can lead to things like osteoporosis later on in life. Not ideal, let's try avoid that. The other thing we can do is add in a little bit more iron. I eat meat, so I'm not a fan of meat, but I eat meat. So I think I'm just being a little bit more conscious that when I am eating something, maybe I could make it something like a beef, which is the easiest way to get in a little bit more iron. Of course, your obstetrician, your midwife, they're gonna be checking your iron levels, because if you don't have enough iron, your energy levels are even lower than what they normally are. And that's not gonna be fun at all. If you need a little bit more help being healthy in pregnancy, I have an app called Back to Basics, which is designed for when you are pregnant. So it'll give you heaps of pregnancy-friendly recipes, things that you actually want to eat, and just to give you a little bit more inspiration and a few ideas. And it makes it super easy for you to shop all the ingredients that you need with just one click of a button. You get your personalized shopping list, so you don't actually have to think about food that much, and it's going to make it easier for you to do a little bit of food prep when it's really the last thing you think about doing. All right, let's talk about being active and exercising in pregnancy, because we know it's a lot harder. Your body's constantly changing. The funny thing about pregnancy is, well, it's not that funny, let's be honest. It's not that fun at all, is that you might keep exercising, but your body gets weaker in a way. In a way, you actually just need to pull back from exercise. Normally in exercise, you're able to progressively get stronger and stronger. But pregnancy, as you get further along, you actually need to taper back. But this doesn't mean that we should stop exercising. In fact, I'm kind of surprised by how many of us do end up stopping exercise, and how many people still think, oh, if you're pregnant, you shouldn't exercise at all because that's not healthy. That couldn't be further from the truth. Think about it, labor is like a marathon. It is the biggest marathon you probably ever do in your life. And so we want our bodies to be as strong as possible. This doesn't mean that you need to, do hectic exercise. In fact, we've got to find exercise that's safe, that feels good in your body. One of the things I like to do is I like to go for a walk every day. I find that it really helps me stay mentally clear, but also helps prevent some of these really icky symptoms that can happen, like cramps and pelvis stuff and all that, all that interesting stuff. I also like doing pregnancy yoga and pregnancy Pilates because it helps keep my body strong. And I feel like that really helps with my body image, and it also helps prevent some of those symptoms. And if you do need some pregnancy safe workouts, you bet you can also find those in my app, Back to Basics. So whatever trimester you're at, you can just log in, find Pilates or a yoga workout that's gonna actually make you feel good. They're 20 minutes long, so they're super doable. And what's nice is that they're actually safe for you in pregnancy. because you can't keep working out in the exact same way you were doing before, but we need it for energy and for mental health. So one of the things I didn't realize before I got pregnant was just how much your body is going to need to change in order to make room for this baby. It's super fascinating to have a look at how your organs shift. I mean, your bladder gets squished to be tiny, your stomach gets pushed up, your small intestines wrap around so that we have room for our uterus and our placenta. There's a whole bunch of changes that need to happen, and our pelvic floor muscles are really, really important. So if you're still early on in your pregnancy, or even if you're not, we want to make sure that you're going to go see a pelvic health physio. Now, these are specialized physios, and all they do is help you with your pelvic floor muscles, keeping your pelvic health sorted, because there's a lot of stuff that's going to happen down there. I think one of the things I was most surprised about is things like prolapse, which is basically like your organs, like your bladder and your rectum. They can actually prolapse and come through your holes. So what we want to do is we want to do pelvic floor exercises to help keep that area strong and healthy. And that if we're doing these exercises, we can help prevent that kind of thing. And if we do skip out on doing these pelvic floor exercises, then these can be lifelong complications that we always have to deal with. And I guess I don't think I quite realized that this stuff can be preventable if we're just being a little bit more proactive. One of the things I think we should all do is go and speak to your physio. In the Back to Basics app, we have physio Angela James, who talks us through all this stuff from sciatica to carpal tunnel syndrome to, to prolapse. And then I also talk to you about things like constipation and nausea and all those other fun symptoms, because we want to be as proactive as we possibly can, even while we're pregnant, especially while we're pregnant. I think knowing all this stuff really helps. Okay, now something I didn't quite anticipate would happen is just how many people thought it was their job to comment on my body when I got pregnant. It's like, as soon as you're pregnant, you're free game, and everyone's like, oh my goodness, you're huge. Are you sure you're not having twins and triplets? Or you look like you're just about to pop. And I was like, sir, this is what a pregnant woman looks like. I'm just having one baby and I am exactly the right size for me. On the flip side, you might get people saying, oh, you're so tiny. Oh, are you sure there's a baby inside there? And it doesn't matter what comments people make, they typically are going to be triggering, either thinking that your baby's not growing big enough or that you're too big. I typically find most of these comments come from men or people who haven't been pregnant yet, because once you've been pregnant, you're pretty sensitive to the fact that we shouldn't tell a pregnant woman that she's a huge or tiny human and she's not just free game. One option is to, look blankly at that person and be like, oh no, I'm not pregnant, and just see what happens. I mean, I'm really tempted to do that. The other thing I like to say to them is, actually, I look exactly how I should for someone who's 33 weeks pregnant or 27 weeks pregnant or wherever you're at. Because I think when we see pregnant people in the media, they don't look like normal people. They don't look like normal pregnant people. Like when you are searching for maternity clothes, you're gonna see models who are pregnant, but they're not actually pregnant most of the time. They are simply just models with a fake belly bump. And so when you gain weight in pregnancy, it goes everywhere. It goes to your chin, your boobs, your arms. A lot of it goes to your thighs as well. So what you're looking at in these catalogs are these, perfect looking humans with this really perfect looking bump, and it's just not realistic. So I think people have a really warped idea of what a pregnant person is meant to look like. You're going to need more fat reserves when you are pregnant. You're not going to look like this perfect human, and that's perfectly okay. If you need a little bit more support with body image, I have a blog post and I'm gonna share it down below, because I found that, most of the apps I looked at would be like, hey, so keep a positive body image. And I'm like, that's not very helpful when I have random hairs growing in random places and the sagginess of my boobs is really out of control, but thank you very much. But I guess what I want you to know from all of this, and perhaps I make it sound like it's all doom and gloom, but it's not. I mean, I love being pregnant, even with all the symptoms that I'm having. I wake up every day and I'm super grateful to feel this baby kicking me in the ribs. It's lots of fun. And so I hope you really enjoy it too. I think when we get caught up worrying about all these things like weight gain or body image, it can dampen our experience of pregnancy, this time which is actually meant to be a really enjoyable time for us. So that's why I think if you're a little bit proactive and you're kind of getting a little bit of help to make sure that you feel good during pregnancy, then it can be a really enjoyable time. It could be the healthiest time in your life. I know that's how I feel. I feel like, especially without drinking alcohol, I feel pretty stable, pretty fabulous, and I want that for you too. Anyways guys, I would love to hear from you. I would love to hear any of your comments down below, so please comment. You can subscribe if you like. I'm going to be sharing more about my postnatal experience in a little bit, plus some more videos about things like how to be healthy without dieting. Yes, it's possible, and something I get pretty excited about. And if you want to get the Back to Basics pregnancy app, you can try it free for 14 days. So whatever, what do you have to lose? I'll leave a link down below so you can try it if you want. Anyways guys, thanks for watching. See ya, bye.